Hi, let's kick the pig. That's what you're going to hear a lot. Decided that we need a little lingo, right? My name is Toby Clark, and every day on this channel, we like to kick the pig. That means get it going. Let's get moving. Let's keep this moving. Come on, folks, let's keep going. Today, I told you we're going to get after it on our last welcome video. If you haven't seen our welcome video yet, then I would ask you to go watch that. It really introduces our channel a little bit and helps you kind of get familiar with why we're doing what we're doing. But I want to go ahead and put one more video out there for those of you that are super ready to get after it. And by the way, we're not in test mode, but we're at the very beginning, and we still have lighting to put up and all kinds of fun stuff that we're going to add to our backdrop and those types of things. But we don't want to miss another minute. We've done a few tests, and we feel like we've got at least the technology in place to get this moving. So here we go. The first thing that we're going to attack is what is blockchain. I told you on the welcome video, again, you might want to go back and watch that the whole channel is going to be about explaining and helping us kind of navigate this whole new world of what's called blockchain technology. You might have heard it referred to as cryptocurrency, but the better term is blockchain because that is the underlying technology that cryptocurrency, like Bitcoin, if you've heard at least of Bitcoin, is built upon. So we've got to first understand blockchain and what that technology is and what it allows for before we go any further and try to explore all these other rabbit trails of this type of technology. I said in the welcome video that I believe this technology will be seen 10, 15 years from now as having a greater impact on society, as having a greater impact globally than what the internet has had over the last 40 years. Exponentially, we are moving at a pace that we've never seen before with a new type of technology that has never been seen before up to the last 10 years, and we're still at the very fledgling stages. So I'm excited to launch this channel and help you go from A to Z as to how to be a part of this, what I call blockchain generation. I referred in the welcome video again to comparing the two, the internet generation versus the blockchain generation. Both are extremely valid. The internet generation I got to live through, and maybe you did as well, and we saw and still see so much progress. The blockchain generation is what's coming. It's at the fledgling stages. It's here, and it's starting to be really more mainstream than ever, but it's still at the very beginnings. I like to say that it's still at the AOL stage compared to the internet. We've got a long ways to go, but it's happening at a pace, like I said, that we've never, ever seen before. So instead of trying to recreate at the very beginning the fundamental explanation of what blockchain is, I'm going to use one of the most viewed videos that is on YouTube right now. And you maybe have seen this, and it's got over 7 million views or so. And I think it does a great job helping us understand the fundamental aspect of what blockchain is. So it's just a short video. I'm going to watch this with you. I'm going to even stop a few times and pause and put a few things in there, or just come back and close things out. But I want you to watch this. It's very short, and it will, if you're interested in what this technology is, it will help you at least have a picture of what we're even talking about. So watch this with me.
Blockchains are incredibly popular nowadays. But what is a blockchain? How do they work? What problems do they solve? And how can they be used? Like the name indicates, a blockchain is a chain of blocks that contains information. This technique was originally described in 1991 by a group of researchers and was originally intended to timestamp digital documents so that it's not possible to backdate them or to tamper with them, almost like a notary. However, it went by mostly unused until it was adapted by Satoshi Nakamoto in 2009 to create the digital cryptocurrency Bitcoin. Now, a blockchain is a distributed ledger that is completely open to anyone. They have an interesting property. Once some data has been recorded inside the blockchain, it becomes very difficult to change it. So how does that work? Well, let's take a closer look at a block. Each block contains some data, the hash of the block, and the hash of the previous block. The data that is stored inside the block depends on the type of blockchain. The Bitcoin blockchain, for example, stores the details about a transaction here, such as the sender, receiver, and the amount of coins. A block also has a hash. You can compare a hash to a fingerprint. It identifies a block and all of its contents, and it's always unique, just as a fingerprint. Once the block is created, its hash is being calculated. Changing something inside the block will cause the hash to change. So in other words, hashes are very useful when you want to detect changes in blocks. If the fingerprint of a block changes, it no longer is the same block. The third element inside each block is the hash of the previous block. And this effectively creates a chain of blocks, and it's this technique that makes a blockchain so secure. Let's take an example. Here we have a chain of 3 blocks. As you can see, each block has a hash and the hash of the previous block. So block number 3 points to block number 2, and number 2 points to number 1. Now the first block is a bit special. It cannot point to previous blocks because, well, it's the first one. We call this block the Genesis block. Now let's say that you tamper with the second block. This causes the hash of the block to change as well. In turn, that will make block 3 and all following blocks invalid because they no longer store a valid hash of the previous block. So changing a single block will make all following blocks invalid. But using hashes is not enough to prevent tampering. Computers these days are very fast and can calculate hundreds of thousands of hashes per second. You can effectively tamper with a block and recalculate all the hashes of other blocks to make your blockchain valid again. So to mitigate this, blockchains have something that is called proof of work. It's a mechanism that slows down the creation of new blocks. In Bitcoin's case, it takes about 10 minutes to calculate the required proof of work and add a new block to the chain. This mechanism makes it very hard to tamper with the blocks, because if you tamper with one block, you'll need to recalculate the proof of work for all the following blocks. So the security of a blockchain comes from its creative use of hashing and the proof of work mechanism. But there is one more way that blockchains secure themselves, and that is by being...
Now, let me just pause for a second. I know some of you might already feel like you are more lost than you've ever been. And that is not the purpose of this channel, right? This is just, I want to give you a high-level overview of what this blockchain is. This is going into some details that you don't necessarily need to even understand. But we're going to go backwards from this video, and over a variety of meetings together, we're going to kind of attack in a much more practical way what this is. And we might refer back to this video, but that's about it. I want to point out a couple of things so far before we finish the last couple of minutes. One of them is that the blockchain is a structure of ledgers. You can imagine kind of like a piece of paper, in its earliest form, that is ledgering different bits of information. It's putting transactions at a ledger level. But the difference is it becomes dependent upon other people using hash power. Now, again, you don't need to understand that yet, but maybe you've heard the term miners. The miners are making the valid checks on each one of the blocks. Again, don't get confused. I know I can feel some of you watching right now and you're utterly confused, but just relax. It's okay. We'll get through this together, I promise. But those miners are bringing validity to each one of the transactions. Once it's stamped on the blockchain, which the blocks create a chain. You saw that in the video. So that's why blockchain, each block is held together. Then one block can't have different information than the next block, or the next, or the next, or the next, or the next. So that is what they call immutability, where it can't be something like on a paper ledger. A bank could put, this transaction and this transaction and this transaction, but a month later, theoretically, we don't want to believe that this would happen, but they could go back in and they could change that ledger, right? And it wouldn't be the end of the world in the sense of it's not affecting the rest of the ledger. It's not affecting the rest of the document by just changing that one piece. Well, this is where it gets practical. The blockchain, you can't do that. It's immutable. You can't change anything from the past, because if you change anything from the past, it nullifies everything from that point forward. So it's immutable. It's something that can't be tampered with in a way like a paper ledger or even a digital ledger could be tampered with. Now, some people immediately ask, well, what about the hacks? A hack is different. A hack is not hacking into and making the blockchain less immutable. The data is still there. The data is the data. You can't change the data that is on a blockchain. You have to, that's one of the first things you have to get through your brain. It's impossible to go backwards and change the data on any one of those blocks. Once it's been hashed and proven out and shown to be valid, you cannot go backwards. The other thing that they just attacked, and we'll get back to the video, is they talked about proof of work. Proof of work is what I just told you, that the miners that are using like supercomputers. And I've got history in that. I built a farm back in 2017 full of these miners that all they did 24 hours a day was use the hashing power, which again, don't let it confuse you, but it went in and it, through the internet, it was able to go into these different pipes that in, not literal pipes, but through the pipes leading to these transaction tables. And it would be one of the validators of these blocks. And that's what proof of work is. The work is the mining system or the algorithm that is being solved. Again, don't get confused. It's okay. You don't have to even know what algorithm means, all right? I promise. But it's the algorithms built into the blockchain, and these computers are solving them while stamping their approval on each transaction. And that's why when a miner finishes a block and it's over, then the reward, like on Bitcoin's level, is that it's rewarded a portion of a Bitcoin for doing the work. That's why it's called proof of work. Another almost bigger technology or proof that has come onto the scene since proof of work, which I don't think he's going to talk about, is called proof of stake. We're not going to talk about that today, but that is when you, instead of do the work through supercomputers, you're staking a portion of the asset, and the staking itself is what is doing the validating. And again, I'm not going to confuse you with all the ins and outs of that. Let's finish the rest of this video at least and have some level of understanding of what the blockchain is.
Being distributed. Instead of using a central entity to manage the chain, blockchains use a peer-to-peer network and everyone is allowed to join. When someone joins this network, he gets a full copy of the blockchain. The node can use this to
Those are the
verify
miners.
that everything is still in order. Now, let's see what happens when someone creates a new block. That block is sent to everyone on the network. Each node then verifies the block to make sure that it hasn't been tampered with. And if everything checks out, each node adds this block to their own blockchain. All the nodes in this network create consensus. They agree about what blocks are valid and which aren't. Blocks that are tampered with will be rejected by other nodes in the network. So to successfully tamper with a blockchain, you'll need to tamper with all the blocks on the chain, redo the proof of work for each block, and take control of more than 50% of the peer-to-peer network. Only then will your tampered block become accepted by everyone else. So this is almost impossible to do. Blockchains are also constantly evolving. One of the most recent developments is the creation of smart contracts. These contracts are simple programs that are stored on the blockchain and can be used to automatically exchange coins based on certain conditions. More on smart contracts in a later video. The creation of blockchain technology piqued people's interest. Soon others realized that this technology could be used for other things, like storing medical records, creating a digital notary, or even collecting taxes. So
this is
now you
where
know
it's
what a
going.
blockchain is, how it works on a basic level, and what problems it solves. Want to learn how you can implement a simple blockchain in JavaScript? Then check out this video here. And as always, thank you very much for watching.
All right. So there at the end, they gave you a little glimpse of what I would call the a very tiny tip of the iceberg of the future uses of blockchain. So what I want you to understand from this video is that yes, it's complex. Do you need to understand the complexities of blockchain? No, you don't. Is it good to have a fundamental understanding of what blockchain technology is? Yeah, I think it is. I'm not a coder. I don't understand the very, very depths of blockchain either. But I sure understand enough to understand that what I'm doing makes sense, and there's a reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. So I want you to have at least a high level understanding of that. But what I want you to see also from this video came at the very end. This technology has the opportunity, and not only the opportunity, I believe that it's very clear right now that it will infiltrate. And in fact, to be more bold, it will take over every single industry that we have on planet Earth. You might think, okay, what in the world do you mean? Again, we're going to attack that. That's what the purpose of this channel is. I can't do it all in one video, but if you look at medical records or medicine, if you look at even electricity, there are companies that are building out blockchain technology that are committed to just the electric grids, that all the electricity will flow through the blockchain. Now, again, not in a literal sense through like the pipes of the blockchain. I'm talking through the technology itself. And instead of it going through the typical kind of old system of how electricity has been tracked and monitored in the past, it will be immutable on the blockchain. So there won't be any way that anyone can argue with how it's being done, and it can be shared and it can be swapped and all kinds of amazing things just in the one sector of electricity. You can span this out into literally every sector that we know of at this point in time. And probably it will launch even new sectors, kind of like the internet did, that didn't even exist up until this time. But not only will it do that, that's exciting, like the internet did, but it will have the opportunity to come underneath. And this is where it's different. This is where it's different than the internet in a lot of ways. And it will come underneath all of these other sectors like medicine and electricity and cars and those types of things, and a whole new way of building out that industry itself will be birthed on blockchain technology. Unbelievable what we're getting ready to witness. And I say getting ready, some of you don't know that this is happening. Companies are already building out their technology to be built now on the blockchain rather than on the old ledgers of yesterday. It's happening. It's happening in other countries at a faster rate than it's happening here in the United States. Africa is adopting cryptocurrency and blockchain technology at a rate like we've never seen before. This has the opportunity to bring the world together. It has the opportunity to take a continent like Africa and, even from a monetary sense, create a monetary system that doesn't have to be divided up in all these little territories, but it can be streamlined, it can be cheap, it can be instant, and it can be swappable, and everything can be bought and sold through the blockchain. And it takes cash off the table. It takes, again, a lot of fraud off the table because numbers can be fudged and changed. And it allows for communities to come together, countries to come together and build a whole new system on top of this technology that will make their country, will make their society that much smoother, that much more trustworthy, less full of fraud, and more of a togetherness will begin to exist. I believe, again, yes, this technology will spawn things that we don't like, just like the internet did. Any new technology will. But on the flip side, I believe that it has the opportunity to really bring us together as well. As a globe, as a society, within the countries that we live in, I believe that this technology is going to do things that we only dreamed possible, but I don't even think that we have ever dreamed many of these things possible because they're outside of our ability to even imagine at this point. That is the essence of where we're going with blockchain technology, and that is why we call our channel a Blockchain Generation. We want you to be a part of it. I'm a part of it. There's tons of thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of people now a part of this whole new industry and the exciting aspects that this technology has to offer. And I would ask you, wherever you're watching, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or Twitch or Twitter, anywhere, just follow us. I would ask you, if you could, to go especially to our YouTube page, Blockchain Generation, and you would follow us there. We're a brand new channel. You'll see that there's basically hardly anyone following us, but we know that this will change. You're going to be a part of the very early days. And you can say, I was a part of that Blockchain Generation channel way back when it started, way back when the lighting was all messed up and things didn't feel and sound exactly right. But I was a part of it because I want to learn more about blockchain. And we're excited. We're excited to have you a part of it. And I like to say at the end of every video that, hey, I love you. I may never meet you, but I love you. I want you to know I'm for you. I want you to know that I'm here to help you. And so this training is meant for you. It's meant to give you a leg up, but it's also meant to help you navigate this whole new journey that's ahead of us. Whether you like it to be or not, it's ahead of us of blockchain technology. So I love you. I'm for you, and I'm with you in this fight and in this journey as we trudge ahead. So love you guys. We'll talk to you soon.